2. Let's do it.
Dire team pick.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Loris. Going to be casting game number 2 in the best of 3 League of Dota Week 6 semifinals. One of them, at least. Don't know what the status of the other one is, but who cares? Because we're in the best game now, guys. Don't tell Nisagord I said that, but this is the best stream and the best in-game you could possibly find ever, if I do say so myself. These are looks like different teams. They are the same teams. We had a couple of renames. I don't know if this person is the same. Lily, whatever her face was, looks like she had to go or something. So there's someone else. This is also getting played in EU server. Bubbleblowers decide to change names and go to I name my kid Herb. I don't know why. That's up to them. I mean, it's the same people, so it doesn't really matter. But hell, it's still the Bubbleblowers, guys. Last game, I'm just going to call them the Dire right now because they don't have a name or whatever. That's their fault. Just outlasted the push from the Radiant team. The push wasn't that strong. Their late game was not, the Bubbleblowers' late game was not as strong. So they just outlasted the push, took it in the late game. Very strong Luna, a very strong farming Weaver. This game, we'll see if it's any different. Well, we have the Venomancer first pick. Once again, from the Radiant side, it was the other team. It was the Dire last time that picked up the Venomancer first, though. This time, it looks like everyone wants their hands on the Venomancer. Timbersaw, as well as Elder Titan, going to be picked up for the Dire side. And usually you only see one of these heroes picked up because, well, first you could only get your hands on one of them. Elder Titan is a little bit more desirable than other heroes just because of the amount of damage he helps your team to put out. But usually both these heroes go towards the off lane. I think this might be a mid lane on one of them. I think Timbersaw is slightly stronger in the mid lane. That's just my opinion. But Elder Titan and Timbersaw kind of usually do fill that same role in the off lane, survivable, yet heavy damage dealing role. And, well, picking two of them up at the same time will mean the lanes will be a little bit awkward, but still extremely functional. I mean, they still have a whole lot of damage. I'm also pretty sure that Elder Titan's aura does not help Timbersaw because it's all pure damage. Pure damage cannot be changed unless it's like amplified by Soul Catcher or something like that. But changing their armor reduction or magic resistance reduction, that will do nothing against pure damage. I'm pretty sure. So that is probably the case. Looks like the Bubbleblower is going to choose the Outworld Devourer. Has not been seeing much play, not because he's a bad hero or anything, but because he's a great hero. So very annoying to deal with. And now, well, they've actually decided to pick it up above everything else. Usually we've seen the OD being banned out within the second round of bans. This time it looks like it's going to be the supports that take the ban stick. Visage, CM. Venomancer already is on a on the Bubbleblowers team, so I would guess the Bubbleblowers already do have the kind of support advantage, picking up that guaranteed top tier support. Alchemist also banned out by them, and well, the support's gonna get devoured. Outworld devoured, just gonna get eaten up by these bans. And who's the last ban that's desirable? I don't really know if they want to ban out another support, because I guess they could run a 4-position Elder Titan. I personally don't like that too much, just because Elder Titan, he does so much better once he has the maxed out Spirit, once he has the maxed out Aura, and then of course you want Point and Stomp, Point in the Earth Splitter thrown in there somewhere. So he needs his levels, and he also can't really do much as a roamer. Like, he could put down the Spirit, which is pure damage, not like pure damage, but it's 100% damage, but he doesn't offer any form of crowd control, because usually you don't get the Stomp. And even if you do get the Stomp, it's not necessarily the best setup, unless you have a Mirana arrow or something like that. So I don't really like the 4-position Elder Titan. I think putting him in the lane by himself is generally the best way to use that hero. So, you know, Bubbleblowers, they do have the Venomancer, which is of course going to set up the potential for some pretty aggressive roaming. Clockwork going to be the final ban out for the Dire side, and Razor instantly the pickup for the Dire. So it's going to be the classic Razor versus OD. Usually we don't see this because one of them is usually banned out. Like if OD is picked, then the team that picks the OD usually bans out Razor. If usually the OD is just banned out in general. So I actually haven't seen this matchup too many times, though it is a matchup that the OD doesn't crush as much as he crushes other matchups. Because the Razor could actually just turn on the static link, start draining the OD's damage, and then, well, he could steal his int to get a little bit more damage, but in the long run, the Razor will come out on top, and Astral Imprisonment does not break that link.
Reserve
So
time.
it is a go-to counter that a lot
Dire
of
team pick.
teams go for when they are up against the OD. Unfortunately, it's usually not available, which is why OD is such a dominant hero. Is that there's only a couple heroes that can deal with him. I would say Razor and Nyx are by
Radiant
far the
team
best,
pick.
unless you want to dual lane him, which is actually not a bad idea. Uh, you can only steal intelligence from one of you, and if there's two threats on the board, then you might as well just fly with
Dire
that.
team pick.
But OD versus Razor should be a little bit more even than you would expect from an OD lane. Razor might even come out on top. Rubik as the fourth pick support for the Dire side, whereas the Bubbleblowers is going to go for the Abaddon as well as the Weaver.
10
It's
seconds
exactly what their
remaining.
opponents did in the last game, so they're going to have that slippery late game.
5
OD,
seconds. 5
definitely not as
seconds
slippery as the Puck. I
remaining.
would say not nearly comparable. Just a lot more damage
Reserve
coming out
time.
of that OD. Whereas Puck obviously is a little bit more of the team fight initiation and setup, which is something that right now Bubbleblowers are going to be lacking. They do need another core hero, so they could pick up some initiation through that, but unless they want to go for like a side lane Storm Spirit, which won't actually be terrible for them, uh, they're going to be hard pressed for initiation just because the best initiators are already out of the pool, and that's like clockwork and stuff like that. Yeah, long range stunts, anything like that would work, but to be fair, I guess both sides are kind of light on the initiation. The Dire don't really have anything going for them as far as long range stuns, so it'll just be both teams running at each other, which is always very exciting to see. And in that case, I think it's got to be the damage from the Dire side that takes the advantage there. Bubbleblowers really just have to get the single pickoffs going, get their Weaver accelerated, get their OD accelerated. Otherwise, the damage from Elder Titan and, of course, everyone else who the Elder Titan is going to be near, it's going to be too much for them.
10 seconds
Because
remaining.
they do have the Abaddon, but outside of that, OD, soft hero, Venomancer, soft hero, Weaver, extremely soft hero.
Radiant team
Usually, I
ban.
would say even without the Elder Titan, Timbersaw, Razor, and well, Rubik's not the most damaging of heroes, but when you add the Elder Titan on top of that, it's a lot of damage. And with the Gyrocopter last pick, the
Radiant
aura from the Elder
team
Titan is
pick.
going to do double duty with him. Gets the extra damage from the Flak Cannon, of course, gets the extra damage from the Rocket Barrage, as well as
Dire
the Call
team
Down on
pick.
top of that. So, Gyrocopter, all value with the Elder Titan. And Herb going to last pick the Tinker. So it looks like they're looking to get this into a more drawn out game. Not so much for the counter pushing because the Dire don't have that much pushing at all. I would say none of these heroes. I would consider none of these heroes to be pushing heroes. So a little bit of a weird decision to pick up the Tinker. The blind would definitely work very well versus Razor, and they might even slide the OD down to the bottom lane though. Tinker versus Tinker and OD versus Razor, I would say that they're about equal. I would say OD might even have a little bit of an edge. So even though Razor is a good counter versus OD, you still just, I think, want to put him up there just because Tinker
10
counters,
seconds
uh,
remaining.
Razor counters Tinker just a little bit more.
5
I mean, I guess
seconds
the laser
remaining.
would be great because if you start getting your damage stolen, you just blind him and then run away. But the blind only lasts for so long, and Razor could still effectively push you out of lane just with that static link.
Prepare
So
for
we're in game number
battle.
2, guys. This is going to possibly decide who goes to the finals, unless the Bubbleblowers side pulls something out. Actually, let's just hold on to Bastion. Bastion announcer, best announcer, and let's go over who's playing on the Bubbleblowers, aka the Herb side. We have Zoffin playing the Tinker. Looks like he is gearing up to head towards the mid lane. Buck is going to be supporting, not as the aggressive hero, as the defensive hero. Abaddon Sedge is going to be on the Venomancer, heading up towards the top lane with the carry hero, Jalopi's Weaver. Bottom lane is just going to be Danny alone as the OD. Going to be going toe-to-toe with the Timbersaw, played by Dusa. So in this specific matchup, I still think the OD should have an edge here, though if he's not too careful, Dusa could just right-click him down, and, well, actually, no, in a right-click
30
ward, the OD still
seconds to
wins. So the
battle.
OD should crush that lane. 7LR playing the mid lane Razor. Fun is going to be on the Elder Titan. MSS was before Ping Pong something is something. It's now going to be playing the Rubik. By the way, I have this. It's an amazing item. It makes Rubik look like a Cyclops, which is awesome. Gyrocopter is going to be played by Go For It, You Wuss. Not really. This is the person who got swapped out, I think. I'm not really sure who this is. Time to do a little bit of research. From Canada.
The battle begins.
I have no idea who this is, so it's Go For It. Going to be hard carrying as the Gyrocopter. It looks like it is going to be a try-v-try situation. And in that particular situation, I think that Well, it's a Weaver. I think the Radiant team have a slightly better tri-lane. Again, there's a 4-position Elder Titan, which I don't really like. He's all damage. He has no disables. There's only one disable in the MSS telekinesis. And then, throw back into a Rocket Barrage with the Aura eventually is pretty good. But, okay, misclicks. But I don't think it's as good as the Abaddon Weaver as well as the Venomancer. Just a lot of sticking power within these three heroes. And Gyrocopter, he should be zoned out decently. I mean, there's not that much range on this bottom lane, but hell, Jalopy by himself could do most of it. And now already with Sentry Ward protection, in case there was any Observer Wards placed, which of course there were not. So the top lane should go in favor of the Radiant at least just a little bit. Mid lane, Zoffin is going to be playing Tinker versus 7LR's Razor. Ready 2 denies for the Razor, and I think the Razor should have the edge in this lane. As soon as he gets level 3, the level 2 static link will make it very difficult for Tinker to stay in the lane, though Laser, a very good defensive tool versus that Razor. I don't really know if it's going to be enough to keep him in the lane. He still will get a decent amount of farm, however, especially if 7LR takes free right clicks like that. But it should be an even lane, but a very explosive lane as well. At least not for a couple levels, however. Danny versus Dusa on this bottom lane. The insta-steal on Timbersaw is going to make the already strapped for mana hero even more strapped for mana. Constantly stealing the intelligence of a Timbersaw, which means that he will have to be very reliant on his reactive armor to do work. Will be very reliant on single nukes to do work. But other than that, Danny should just continue to dominate this lane. 6-4 versus 3-1 already. Danny will win this lane, pretty much guaranteed. Fun. Looking for a little bit of aggression with MSS. They're playing this lane a little bit more aggressive than maybe I was expecting for sure. Jalopy's still getting his farm. Let's take a look at the Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter's getting a decent amount of farm as well. And it looks like, wow, Dusa making a lane swap with 7LR. So they want this Razor versus OD combination. Timbersaw is back on the mid lane, which I think a much better lane for the Timbersaw to be in. Much better lane for the Razor to be in as well. So doing a little bit of a late lane swap. The Dire are now fully prepared. This is exactly the lane. These are exactly the lanes that they wanted. These are the lanes they expected. Dusa is still going to struggle a little bit versus this Tinker, I feel like, with March and the Machines. A Timbersaw who wants to be in very close to the fight is going to be punished very hard once Tinker decides to actually cast that March. But regardless, I think the benefits that they get of having 7LR down in this bottom lane with static link, which only costs 30 mana, versus this OD far outweighs the deficit that they get from putting Dusa in the mid lane. And still, Dusa is going to have a better time in this mid lane than he will on the bottom lane. So a good swap of the lanes right there. MSS in a little bit of trouble. He will get a throwback onto Jalopy, which will hold off Sedge. If the Gale was there, that would have been the death of the Rubik for sure. But Telekinesis is a good spell, especially when everyone lines up like that. So if you line them up, you will get stunned. Gyrocopter 7-1, Weaver 7-3. Both carry heroes remaining fairly even on the farm as of right now. Go for it, you wuss. Has got to be careful though. A single Gale will mean his death. Sedge playing a little bit far away, however. So the Venomancer has to look for an angle, and once he gets that angle, the Gyrocopter is going to be in a ton of trouble. Though I think Go For It still has quite a bit more space to kind of work with before he's actually in trouble of that. Sedge instead just going to do a little bit of creep jacking. They could get a kill onto Fun if they don't miss the Gale. And even if they did, I think this little corridor that he cut out for himself would have kept him safe regardless. So Venomancer whiffing the Gale, but that's because he didn't expect there to be a hole here, which is completely understandable. I probably would have missed that as well. You expect them to go up north, where there's an escape, not into the trees, where there's usually no escape. So 4 minutes in, haven't really been seeing that much action yet. Razor having a much better lane now, though OD still doing a very good job. Haven't really been seeing that much of an exchange between the two. There was a small static link on this mid lane, but it was still very small. Top lane, there's the engagement. There's the Gale hitting onto 3. Jalopy on the back end, still very low on HP, so he's hesitant to go in. Sedge as well as Buck forced to retreat because there is no supporting creep wave. So a Gale lands on a whole bunch of them. It's a level 1 Gale, so no one's really going to be too hurt from anything at all. And it looks like it is pretty much just a wash up on that top lane. Buck and Sedge are going to get some dual lane experience, maybe some farm as well, whereas the Weaver needs to just come back into the lane. But the lanes will continue. Your regularly scheduled broadcasting. 7LR now going to drain a lot of damage from Danny. That's a 0 damage OD. That's definitely far from optimal. Can't really do much with that. So that's the reason the Razor counters OD. And usually you see the matchup happening in the mid lane. But I would say that the matchup is even stronger for the Razor down in the spot lane just because there's so much room in between the towers. If he gets a static link off when the OD is like here or something like that, then he has all this distance to run where he's just constantly draining damage, occasionally throwing the whip, and then OD is in that much more trouble. Whereas the mid lane, the distances are a lot shorter. You don't have as much room to run, and you don't drain as much damage before the enemy gets to their tower. So keeping a look at this top lane, however, looks like both teams contesting this hard camp pull. Though with the flat cannon for Got It, I think he will be able to farm up this wave pretty decently unless a random Gale lands. And Sedge still a little bit too far away, only 285 movement speed on that Venomancer, making it very difficult for him to actually get in there and land a Gale. He really needs boots right now, but at the same time he's not getting any farm, so really what could you possibly expect from your Venomancer? He has to land the Gale, but boots on the Gyrocopter versus no boots on the Venomancer, there's going to be no Gale landing today. And now MSS and Fun, they're going to move down to the mid lane, where Dusa already playing a couple games with Zephyr. He's out of mana completely, this Tinker. I think this Tinker just might be dead. Yeah, the Whirling Death is there with stun as well. Teleport is coming in, but MSS is there already with the kill. Buck teleporting in, try to get a heal on his ally. Unfortunately, it will not work. First Blood will go the way of the Dire side, MSS picking that one up. And I said before that I didn't really like the Elder Titan as the 4 role just because in a gank he doesn't do anything. But when the Weaver's already half dead, you just need a little bit extra damage to bring it home. Yeah, the Elder Titan will work in a pinch.
Thanks.
So Elder Titan getting a little bit of value there. Tinker slowing down his boots to travel with that Soul Ring. He does have a couple stacks of Ancients. That is completely spotted out, however. And now he's back on the bottom lane, so we're just playing all sorts of games with these lanes. It's like the shell game with lane. It's like, oh, where's the OD under shell number 1, 2, or 3? And Zephyn's going to try to get a little bit of a better lane here, but I think it still will favor him, although Dusa coming in. Zephyn, you cannot escape this, can't escape this Timbersaw. This Timbersaw wants you dead, and he's probably going to find you and kill you as well. So, an area with so many trees. There is no Razor, however. Razor got out of there. MSS, though, going to get hit by another Gale. Will stun up Jellaby, land him onto Buck as well. Swarm does go out, and Jellaby will do enough damage. MSS is probably dead, though Buck taking a lot of damage as well. MSS does go down. Sedge and Buck both on the run. I think they'll both be fine, actually, especially with Buck having that extra shield. Sedge, as well as Jellaby, still pretty healthy. The Rocket Barrage is there. The Plague Ward, as well as the poison damage, slowly will take down the Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter will get nuked down. He will go down, in fact. Gyrocopter will go down, but he does pick up the Abaddon with one last flat cannon, so not bad there. Zephyr in the meantime, bottom lane. Juice is still chasing him down. The Timber Chain will do enough to bring him down the bottom lane. And Dusa, I mean, at a certain point, he's just going to stomp all over this Tinker. Tinker now at a very, very awkward position. He needs to get his boots to travel, but there's no good place for him to farm. If he goes to the mid lane, he has to deal with the Razor. If he goes to the bot lane, he has to deal with the Timbersaw. If he goes to the top lane, if he goes to the bot lane, he has to deal with the Timbersaw. If he goes to the top lane, he's not going to find any farm because there's 3 freaking heroes there. Or there were. So Tinker needs to be jungling, I guess, with these Ancients. He needs to be finding some farm somewhere, but finding any farm anywhere is going to be a real struggle. Now Dusa going to run straight into Danny. Needs that Intelligence Steal. There it is. Actually canceling the Timber Chain. Not bad. Now Dusa completely tapped out of mana, though Danny with 1 point orb, wasting a lot of mana himself. There's the lift up into the stun. And Sedge is there as well. Does now have his boots, though, struggling to get close enough. And will mean, of course, the top lane does not have any more kill potential. No more slow. They'll try to chase down this Gyrocopter, but running into a call down, as well as a level 2 Rocket Barrage, always a very risky prospect. So 2-3, and the laning advantage definitely going in favor of the Dire, translating into an experience and gold lead as well. Very, very slight, but as long as they keep this Tinker down, if they get another Observer Ward and keep tabs on the Ancients, Tinker's going to have a very, very hard time getting his boots of travels up. Once he does get the boots of travels up, then he will be in decent shape. Though still, he will have to worry about random Timbersaws out of nowhere. There's not that many stuns on the Dire side. They only have Rubik's stun. The Gyrocopter picked up an early point in the missiles, which is, I think, a good idea in the tri-lane situation, which gives another thing for the enemy team to worry about. Of course, I wouldn't prioritize it over Rocket Barrage, but I'm just a big fan of Rocket Barrage. Who doesn't love Rocket Barrage, right? I think the missile is a good idea, and especially in a tri-v-tri situation where you are kind of a little bit behind. So go for it. Still being zoned out a little bit. Jellaby still finding his farm. Does have his Perseverance finished up. It's going to be a Lincoln Sphere as the first item. 7LR diving pretty deep, actually, for this drain on Danny, who's going to eat a tree out of panic. He does have maxed out Essence Aura instead of Astral Imprisonment. Not too sure how I feel about that. I guess if you go for an early point Arcane Orb, you kind of do want that extra Essence Aura, but usually you don't get the extra point Arcane Orb. So I don't really know about that. It will mean he'll steal less intelligence, won't be as dominant lane, but go for it. Might be in a little trouble. Sedge can drop it, Sentry Ward, and here's the dive. There is a call down as well as Rocket Barrage. Though the call down not really gonna hit on much. Jelly will pop the shield on it. Go for it is going to die. There is no way out of it. Jelly will get him with the shield pop. And, well, Danny. Oh, Danny, you do not want to be here. Teleport out. No stomps. He's going to be just fine. Teleporting out just in the nick of time. The top lane does die. Now Zephyr can go toe-to-toe with Dusa. This should be a matchup that Dusa... Oh, unless there's an invisibility rune. Dusa going to get the edge... Zephyr, rather. Going to get the escape there. But, however, it is still a bottom lane that is being pushed. Razor's there with the Ring of Aquila Aura turned on. Fun with a little bit of damage. Not that much. But this tower is definitely going to go down. Danny might want to get in there for a deny, but that will result in his death. Oh, Titan destroying the tower. It looks like it will be an even... No, it won't be an even trade at all. Fortification on the top lane, slowing them down. Go for it. Returning back up to that top lane. As does the Timbersaw. As does the Razor as well. Dusa going to go deep for Sedge. Chakram going to get thrown. Hit onto Sedge. And is there more stuns? There has to be something. The missile's flying, but it's just not enough. Once again, a lack of stuns. They have all the burst damage in the world, but if you don't have a stun, you cannot get these kills early on. Unless they're grossly out of position, which they were not. They were already falling back. Meantime, Zoffin gets a lot of free time in the mid lane to farm up. Has he cleared his ancient stack? He has. He does still have a couple more as well. So he's almost at his boost of travel. Just needs 200 more gold for that. The Dire team kind of dropping the ball and pressuring that tanker. They had him on the ropes for such a long time, but now... he just needs a couple more creep kills, and he will have that boost of travel completed. He still needs a little bit more before he's truly effective. Boost of travel, though, is the biggest hurdle. So, he will be happy about that, and he will just, farm up the hard camp as well as the medium camp. No sense in going towards the Ancients where you're a lot more vulnerable. So, that's going to be his boost of travels, but he still has a lot more to, he has a lot more to do before he's truly effective. Still on this top lane, Buck as well as Jelly continue to find their farm. Where's Gyrocopter? Gyrocopter's actually not farming as well as I would, or as well as the Dire team would really like, especially when there's an OD coming in from the side. Razor's really the best thing that the Dire team has going for them. Tinker as well as Weaver, both topping the charts as far as farm is concerned. And now with this tower as well, gold is going to continue to go the way of the Radiant. Dire team really struggling to find openings. I was going to say opportunities and openings. And then it went to opportunities. Openings? I don't know. English too hard. I'm just going to drink water. The Dire are struggling to find opportunities. Struggling to find pickoffs because they don't have any initiation. But here we go. Initiation is right here if they want it. Telekinesis, not going to happen. Missiles stolen. Which I guess something. But MSS getting roughed up a lot by that March of the Machines. My god, he got messed up. Missile's going to fly, will catch Danny. Dusa is here as well. Danny might be a little bit over his head. He does have a bottle charge, but he's going to run straight into Fun. The hammer blows will commence, but the Gale is there. Fun slowed down quite a bit. Dusa will throw out the Chakram. Going to blend up Danny as well as Sedge. Call down is there. Will barely killed off the OD. Sedge is well in a lot of danger. With the Plasma Field, the kill will happen. OD instantly buying back into this game. Fun on his way out will make it out alive. No, Jelly is here. He will catch off and kill Fun. Very easy kill for him. Missile's going to fly through. 7LR as well as got it. Dropping very, very weak. Danny can drop the ultimate. Not too much damage to go for it. Though it will be enough in the end. 78 HP. Will not be enough to survive one more Arcane Orb. 65 in the end. Bubbleblowers, I think, take a favorable fight. They do have to buy back on their OD, which is definitely far from ideal. But he comes back and gets a kill, which is, I think it will be worth it for them. Unless they die right here, because MSS does have rockets. Not the best skill to steal, because you can't rearm it, which is really the power of the heat-seeking missiles. But hell, it's something. And, well, now he has a Gale. No, he has Plague War. It's even better, I think. Just get that consistent vision up, get that consistent presence up. And then you can have your wards fight each other, which is fantastic. Should be illegal, but who knows. The only bad thing that's going for the Dire, though, is that even though they're taking these trades, I guess you could call them even. You could generously call them even for the Dire. They are still letting the Weaver farm. They're still letting the Tinker farm. There's really not much they can do about that. They have to kill off the Weaver, but they can't. And they'll kill off Danny. This guy is very, very dead. Cosmic Heal can fly through. 7LR taking quite a bit of damage. The damage still being stolen, though. Danny, one more Whip Strike will kill him off. Earth Split will not crack anyone back. Zephyr dropping pretty low, but he still will be fine to set Bottle Charge as well as a TP back home free. March of the Machines as well as the missiles keeping everyone back. There's going to be no pushing here. They need to just get farm on this Gyrocopter, but Gyrocopter's fighting off versus the Weaver. This is not a matchup that the Dire are going to win. They're just constantly bashing their heads against this counter push from the Radiant team to no avail. If they could catch a couple more openings, that's fine, but right now Tinker's farming the bottom lane and holding the mid lane. Go for it. He's farming okay, but that's all he's farming. He's only farming okay, whereas Jelope is doing a lot better farm job than the Gyrocopter, especially with support coming in for Jelope. So MSS Fun, as well as 7LR, well, they're going to find an opening now since everyone for some reason just randomly left the mid lane. However, that is because they're going to get killed on the Gyrocopter. Buck going to restore full HP off of his ultimate. Might be an opening to kill off this tower with the Plague Wards from MSS, but already defense is coming in. Danny's going to come in, fortification will pop, and everyone else is moving in as well. Sedge is here with level 4 Plague Wards. This push is not going anywhere, and Fun, 7LR, and MSS, they really don't have anywhere to go. Dusa's down in this bot lane, building his way towards a Bloodstone. Fun and MSS going to smoke gang towards there, though there's no one down there. Everyone else is on the mid lane. Maybe they're going to wait for Zoffin. I feel like that would be a decent idea. I mean, Zoffin's got to have his eye on the bottom lane and see the Timbersaw and be like, hey, I could probably defend that. Or they'll just go for the mid lane, where 7LR will defend that anyway. It will be a gank. Danny going to get caught out. He will get shielded up. Chakram will fly. Not many trees in the area. Dusa probably shouldn't really be here. Everyone on the Dire should just fall back. In fact, MSS will get shielded on his way out. Earth Splitter, kind of as a deterrent, will slow everyone down at the very least. Danny will get caught by that. Chakram's there, but the OD ult right on the edge will kill off the Rubik. That was literally the most AoE you could possibly get out of that spell. Now in the top lane, go for it. We'll drop a call down onto Zoffin. He will be fine. But MSS running in there alone and dying. Or not necessarily alone, but dying. I didn't really see that with death coming. OD ult, that was pretty narrow. And Weaver diving actually for Gyrocopter. I thought the Gyrocopter was fine. Fun will exchange the kill, however. So I think that's going to be okay for... Well, and that's probably just going to favor the Radiant team anyway. Mid lane still getting worked on, and the Dire, they're really... You could tell they're struggling to determine what to do. They have a couple of tools. They have a lot of burst damage, but you can't really fight in this. Look at all the machines. Look at all the Plague Wards. Look at the everything. If you try to go in there, you will just die no matter how much damage you do. And 7LR is tanky. He does have the Vanguard up, but against all these machines, there's like essentially dead lanes wherever the Tinker goes, unless they want to dive him. But now he has a Blink Dagger. Now this Tinker's gonna hit his stride. And now I remember what game I saw the Bubbleblowers play in. It was the game where they held off a push for a very long time, and then with the Tinker as well as someone else. I think that was them. Am I right in that? I still don't remember. I think that was them. That's exactly what they're going to do this game. Tinker going to continue on with this map control, with this constant pushing. Rubik can't do anything about it. Look at that. He got hit by like 3 machines and he's almost dead.
Dire's bottom tower is
All the while,
attack.
there's still a Weaver to think about, and the Dire, they're really not getting anything done. I mean, go for it. Almost has a drum. 18 minutes in, phase boots and nothing else. He has 5 deaths, which definitely isn't helping him at all. Razor's going to come in. I think that the problem is that the Dire kind of overdrafted with the Elder Titan as well as the Timbersaw, making it very awkward for the lanes. But also, they like purely counterpicked. They don't have anything going for themselves. They were all counterpicking the lanes, and the lanes, they were a little bit awkward for the Bubbleblower side, but they weathered the storm. They got through the tough part of their laning phase, and now they have powerful heroes that actually do things together. Split push and keep the enemy back while doing so. That's the name of the game, and it's definitely working for them. 7LR on the mid lane, still farming up decently. Vanguard and a Blade of Alacrity. I'm not too sure if that's going to be a Yasha Manta style, or that's just going to be a Aghanim Scepter, which could be either. It's fun. Deuce on the top lane will get out just by the skin of his teeth. Just looking to get bulky, and the longer this game goes, once again, the Radiant team is going to have the edge. What? How did he blink out of the plasma field? That was interesting. Must have been mashing that button, but yeah, so the Radiant team, much like last game, different people playing on the Radiant side, but the Radiant side, wait, no, the Dire side, never mind. No, I'm right. The Radiant side, yes, they do have the superior late game. They have the Tinker, they have the Weaver, they have the OD. Whereas the other end, they have the Razor and Gyrocopter, which isn't terrible, but it's by far not as good. So they have to make something happen in the mid game. They have to be taking team fights, but team fights are just being constantly dodged by the Radiant side. They're pushing and they're poking and prodding, and that's about it. Dusa gonna get caught out. Is there gonna be a Gale? Probably not. They don't have any way of disabling him fully. Fun is here, thinking about throwing out a Spirit, but go for it. Still struggling to find his farm. He's getting pushed out of lane. Jealousy, look how aggressively he's farming right now. He has no support anywhere near him, and he doesn't give a shit. Gonna take a missile to the face. Second missile as well, but you know he's a Lincoln Sphere. He's fine. He has regen.
Dire's top tower
Everything is going right for the Radiant side right now. It's gonna be a smoke up MSS as well as Fun looking for an opening. But as it stands right now, Bubbleblowers, they have this entire game on lockdown because there's really nothing that the Dire could do except for try to catch someone out with smoke and then make a tower push. See, they tried to push down the bottom lane. Dusa tried that. Now Zephyr is here to do the exact same thing, and the rest of the team is there as well. MSS still smoked up. They might be able to catch Buck.
Dire's top tower is
There's the steal on the Aphotic Shield, but that's about it. There's nothing that's going right for them, and Dusa now in a lot of trouble. OD Ultimate gonna get dropped for Timbersaw. Easy kills. And the Dire team, you can just feel that they're just being pretty much suffocated for space. Have no space, they have nowhere to go. It's like, usually you say don't cross the river. This game is you can't cross the river, even if you wanted to. Because you'll just die. I guess you could just do it if you wanted to die, but I wouldn't recommend that. OD Ultimate stolen by the Rubik. Pretty good ultimate steal, though. It's mostly just going to be for the mana difference. Just because Rubik probably won't have a lot more mana than everyone else. Just kind of an awkward thing to have happen. Weaver, in the meantime, still uncontested farm. See, unlike the last game, where the Bubbleblowers, they had stuff going for them, and they just couldn't find their opening, this game, the Dire, they don't have anything for them, and they don't have any openings at all. There is no space for them to do anything they want, with Tinker constantly spamming his stuff. He got the Boots of Travels up at a good time. Now the March of the Machines is keeping all of them out. It's not even like they have a free farming carry. I mean, Gyrocopter, I guess, is farming. He's going to deny a tower, which is pretty good, but Jealousy is free farming. And the Bubbleblowers are sacrificing nothing in order to get this free farm for the Weaver. And Weaver is not in any trouble at all. The only spell that they have to kill off this Weaver is the Telekinesis. And a lot of burst, which is pretty good normally, but the Telekinesis is going to be blocked by Lincoln Sphere. And that's where the real problems come in. Razor does have a Yashin now, going on ahead towards his Aghanim Scepter, but still Weaver by far on top. Stomp going to land on his Sedge and Zephyr. Is there going to be an Earth Split? No, they're both going to wake up. It's a very, very weak level of that stun, but it doesn't matter. Zephyr going to get bursted down. OD ult from the Rubik going to get dropped. Fungo going to get hit by the slow on his way out. The ultimate from the OD not quite up yet. Go for it is here as well. Not going to drop a call down. Teleportation going to come in. It is going to be that Weaver, and they don't have any tools to deal with this Weaver. 7LR has got to run, as does MSS. Go for it. Maybe drop a call down to cover the retreat. Looks like they will be just fine. Missile going to pop the Lincoln Sphere and the Telekinesis. Is their chance to kill the Weaver if they have enough damage, which they might. No time lapse. We'll get him out alive. Now Deuce is going to go straight to the front lines. Whirling Death not going to hit onto anyone. Will get in prison for his trouble. Call down now is going to hit onto absolutely no one as well. MSS in the front lines does have a shield going. That's pretty much it. Damage being stolen from 7LR, not going to amount to anything. Everyone from the Dire side dropping very, very low. With Radiant, with the Abaddon pick, they're just very, very healthy right now. They're going to catch another stomp onto Sedge, and Dusa going to walk up to take some free damage. There's the Gale as well. 7LR is up on the front lines. The Boost Travel gets canceled. Go for it, though. Look at the health pools of the Dire. They're all, like, limping away from this fight. And the Radiant, they're all perfectly healthy. The Dire trying to make something happen, but again, they don't have any opportunities. Now the mid lane tower is under siege. Rocket's going to fly. MSS going to continuously shield himself, looking for that deny. Let's see if he's Ghost enough for it. Looks like it's not going to be enough. Danny finds that right click on the tower, and the Dire have to retreat a little bit more. They concede more map control, and they don't get anything for it at all. This is a steamroller that the Radiant are driving right now, and the Dire don't have any way of dealing with this. There's a Desolator almost up on the Weaver. The damage is going to be incredibly high. Maybe if they take a good fight where they all start off at full HP, maybe that is enough, but not really if they keep going in like that. They have to walk through the march, and look at this. Look at this. They're getting demolished. Fun is almost dead already. He didn't even get hit by anything. Dusa is almost dead as well. Going to force the Timber Chain out. 7LR going to get hit a couple times. And already the Dire are almost dead. Rockets will fly and might kill go for it. 7LR is going to find Zoff and might kill him off, actually. The laser going to slow him down. No, 7LR is going to pay for it with his life. Gets nothing for it. Go for it, very weak as well. I think might be the game. There's nothing that Dire could do about this. There's just so much power on the Radiant side. Ultimate going to get dropped onto MSS. He has a shield, but it's not going to be enough. Buck is there with the miscoil. Will kill him off. The Dire have no space. They have nothing going for them. They have no farm. They still have the burst, but they can't get a good team fight off. It's just a slow, relentless push from the Radiant side, and Bubbleblowers are going to take this tower. They're going to go towards the bot lane next, most likely, possibly Roshan. The Roshan won't be the fastest, probably not Roshan. Their power is really in the lanes. But the tower is going to drop very quickly. Weaver's going to go down to the bottom lane where he's going to receive his Desolator. And hell, even without the Weaver, they're fine. Stomp's going to happen, but the OD in prison is going to happen first. Now Fun. Wow, Fun didn't have any HP. What? I thought he was at full HP. Laser onto the Timbersaw, but wow, I thought, okay. Did he drop the ultimate? No, he didn't. Fun just in there with a Stomp with no HP. This is why I don't like the Elder Titan as a fort support. He's level 8, whereas normally he would be, let's see, check out some other levels, 14, 13. He would be level 13. He would have level 2 Earth Splitter. He would have maxed out Astral, maxed out Natural Order. They'll be doing a lot more damage. Still, it won't be enough space for them. They're still getting constricted, but it would have been better. It definitely would have been better, and that's, you know, they chose to put the farm on the Timbersaw instead, but we can see how well the Timbersaw is doing. He's literally doing nothing in these fights except for going up, taking hits, and then moving back. Now MSS might be in a little trouble. He will still Shikuchi, though. He will be fine for now, unless there's a Sentry, which there is. MSS going to take some heavy burst damage. The Spirit is going to save him. Call down as well, but all those spells being used purely for defense, those are their team fight spells. Deuce is going to fly through, but look at the damage Jellapi is doing. Deuce is going to get shredded so very quickly. He needs another Timber Chain, like, right now. Rocket Barrage will save him, but the shield on the Weaver, Weaver's taking no damage from this at all. 3, 2, 1. And we have a pause again. Okay. But it's definitely not looking good for the Dire side. They almost have an Aghanim Scepter Razor, but he needs a lot more than that. He needs another 1,000 gold to complete that, first of all. And then even if he does have it, he runs in with his ultimate on, and then he just gets blown up. There's so much healing, there's so much sustained split push on the Radiant side, and the Dire just don't have anything. I don't know how many times I've said that, probably more than enough. But that's the current status of this game. Constantly looking for Stomp initiation, that's not going to get you anywhere with a level 1 Stomp. Sedge is going to wake up from that instantly, and look at these Plague Wards. They're demolishing Fun right now. There's no March of the Machines here. They're trying to chase down Sedge, but Sedge could just Gale, use his ultimate, and then be completely fine. There's the Gale, there's the ultimate. He's going to drop, but the rest of his team, here it comes. Jellapi is here. Look at the damage already. I mean, he gets a Stomp, but Fun, 1 hit dead. Go for it, 1 hit dead. 7LR, very weak, as was Dusa. MSS still pretty helped because of Shikuchi, but 7LR, he's on the run. He's dead too. It's double kill for Buck. Jellapi going to chase everyone down. MSS going to hide in the corner. Is there any true sight? There is a teleport out, and he will be just fine. But still, they gave up the Venomancer for 4 kills. Did Venomancer buy back? He did. They had nothing after that. They spent everything they had on the Venomancer. And he like barely even died, because the rest of his team was behind him. Hell, even if only Jellapi was there. Buck was there as well for the finishing blows. He does have the mech as well. Unfortunately, a little bit too late to save the Venomancer, but still, Sanj into Heaven's Halberd, which means that the Razor, he'll get blinded by the Tinker. He'll be unable to attack. All sorts of unhappiness for him. 9 to 19, with the Tinker pushing out the mid lane. Top lane being pushed as well by the same hero. They're going to go straight for Roshan. Jellapi with a Desolator will help a lot with that minus armor. Jellapi actually will ditch. No, he won't. He'll just use a TP instead of dropping it. I guess that works. Aegis now on the Weaver, and the Radiant team, Bubbleblowers, looking for high ground. 4,000 gold on this Weaver. 3,000 gold on the OD. They have buyback and then some. Weaver, I'm sure, would love to do the whole buyback into time-lapse back into the fight trick. A nice little trick, though sometimes does cost you the game. Tower now going to be sieged. And with the March of the Machines, let's see what the Radiant team could do. March of Machines will obliterate any creep wave. Jellapi will tank the tower. He's happy to do so. You can almost buy a straight-up heart, but yeah, with the mech urns, missed coils right behind him, Swarm flying through, rockets flying through, Dusa getting picked off instantly. Pretty good damage going the other way, but the Aegis gets popped in the Weaver. No time to time-lapse that one out. Do they have any stuns? They don't have a telekinesis. They lose the Aegis in exchange for the Timbersaw. Rocket's now going to drop from the sky. Hit onto pretty much everyone. Bach dropping pretty low, as does the Sedge Venomancer because of that Earth Splitter. There's a stun, though. It won't even land. The damage is too high from Jellyby. Just like 2 hits. Now the Gyrocopter has a BKB. It will let him survive. But force that forward from Danny. He's going to drop the OD ult. This is just a feeding frenzy at this point. It's not even close to being contested. Fun's going to call GG. And that's going to be it. Bubbleblowers, they're looking extremely strong right now. We're going to go back to US East server, but this Boa Constrictor, that is the Bubbleblower side, really putting the nails in the coffin of the Dire. So game number 3 is going to come up right after this, guys. Semifinals, then finals, following right after. I might be casting with Newscord on that one. We'll see. Stay tuned, guys.